This is Joseph Victorious. This will still be part four, or part five, part two of that. Excuse me, the previous video got prematurely stopped. But what I was trying to say is like, there's 6 hours that went by before the cops came. How? It is extremely bizarre, and this along with the roommate seeing the perpetrator, this along with the possible keys to enter the rooms, this along, um, and how did the roommate not scream if talking about, I believe, one of the murder victims. um See that there's some discrepancies going on here, because I heard reports that uh and plus there was a theory that one of the roommates that was killed, that or he or she had screamed, probably she had screamed, and that scream caused the murder suspect, which in this case is Bryan, to flee the scene. Um, However, I did not think that happened, because it's according to reports, the roommate was saying that she just heard a conversation where the roommate had said that someone was there, there was an intruder, and then a man's voice saying they were going to help with that, which I don't think that was Brian. I think that was probably the male individual. But if that was the case, there would have been a greater struggle, and at that point, there would have been a scream or several screams, and the roommate could then have called 911. It's like, if you hear voices like that, like, how is it that that there was no loud noises and a loud struggle, and while the roommate is listening to this, like how did they not call the cops? And again, even if she fainted, 6 hours went by. I think, unfortunately, because of that, it's going to be used in Brian's defense. And I got to be honest here. I'm not trying to take the side of the murderer here, but if I was on a jury and I heard all this evidence, there's no way that I can say that there's no reasonable doubt as to not necessarily the murderer, but the circumstances regarding the murder, and with that 6 hours time frame. I just would not be one of the people that, I know this may be controversial, and a lot of people may get upset when hearing this, but I would not be one of the people that would vote unanimously for a conviction. I would just would not. It's just because, put yourself in that position. I know, as unlikely as and horrifying and offensive as it may seem to people hearing this. But if you were somehow involved in this, and you were looking for a defense and or a conviction, how do you justify a 6 hour time frame with a roommate not acting accordingly in any way? Again, it's just very unlikely that you're gonna faint and then pass out for 6 hours. I can understand you faint and pass out maybe for like a few minutes or even an hour or two, but 6 hours? And again, he came back to the murder suspect came back to the scene of the crime. Like, just where were the cops? Where were the cops? Where were the roommates? What the heck were they doing? 11 o'clock? I mean, there's just something awkward going on here. Again, I'm not buying it. The full, account of the story. It smells foul. Something's awkward here. Uh, I do believe that Bryan had an accomplice, and I've always found it. I've said this to my friend, um, personally, that I always suspected there was an accomplice. I do believe there's an accomplice here. I'm sorry, not sorry, but it's just, no, man, no. Um, it's gonna come down to also what kind of DNA was in the scabbard, in the sheath, that's called. Uh, what kind of DNA was on there? Was it just like, you know, skin? Was it hair? Was it nails? Was it blood? And the location of the scabbard. Um, was the scabbard found near the exit? And if he went by the roommate, then he would have walked out the exit. I mean, if the roommate's not going to do anything, and why wasn't he running out of the house? If he sped, yeah, it doesn't make any sense too. Like, if he was speeding out of the vicinity, why wasn't he running out of the house? If the roommate claims he walked past her, didn't kill her, left a witness, but wasn't running out of there, he just was speeding out of there. You would be running and speeding. You will not just be running. I mean, walking. You will not be walking. You will not just be speeding. You will be running and speeding. Something's very suspicious going on there. And I may get a lot of flack for this, but uh, no. 6 hours. The circumstances that I've just mentioned, no. The possible gate, keys to the rooms, the amount of times he was there, the failure of people to have tracked this individual to set up proper security, which would lead me again to suspect there was an accomplice that was working with him. I think that a list of the roommate's enemies needs to be reevaluated. And when I mean enemies, I mean people who are jealous. From personal experience, I know many of these people. People who didn't want the Concalves and perhaps the other roommates to be successful, happy. There's a lot of jealousy. Women are like this. It's just a fact. It's not me being a male chauvinist. People are envious and jealous. I hate those attributes. I am the least jealous and envious person, mainly least jealous. I think it's the most pathetic thing in the world to be jealous. If you want something, go get it. Don't complain because somebody has it and you don't got it. Okay, that's just pathetic. very beta, and myself, and I'm an alpha male. I definitely not beta. So yeah, this is this is bizarre. This whole thing's bizarre. I'll probably make more videos as more information comes out regarding how the heck this guy stalked him for so long, other possible connections, and this brings me to a good point. I told a friend of mine, and I'll definitely be talking to him about it this weekend. Um, why? Okay, this is very important. Like, um, lost my train of thought here. Give me a second to see if I can reestablish. Um, yep, it happens. Just wait until you guys hit your 40s. I lost my train of thought. There's something very important. I'll probably remember it and come back and make a third video today about it. Um, but I'm not gonna wait. It's gonna take a second here, so I'm not. I'm gonna skip that part and see if I can come back around to it. But yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing that how poorly and mishandled all this was. Hopefully, the community there and people moving forward will have better security systems in place. It is fairly inexpensive to set up a computer security system nowadays. Um, uh, and this kind of actually leads me back to another murder that happened, which I've also been curious and personally taken an interest in investigating. Um, I forget the name of the pharmaceutical company, but a couple that were murdered was a millionaire couple. The suspect has not been caught. It's been over 4 years. There is a video of the suspect, and it's very blurry, and I find that very difficult to believe. Also, I mean, weird going on there. Considering that the couple in question are millionaires, they're fairly wealthy, and how do they not have a proper security system in place? How do their neighbors, who I'm sure are also wealthy, if you live in a wealthy, very large home, you're going to have wealthy neighbors. How do they not have proper security? How do the streets nearby and the police not have, and the city have any proper security? I mentioned this because I think that the people moving forward should take preemptive measures and, again, better install proper security moving forward. I think that security in streets should be improved. I've had this conversation. Especially in areas of Virginia, wink wink. I'll just say that it's an inside comment. Um, but yeah, it's sorry. I've been doing a lot of and yeah and ums. I'm just I'm still a little bit of show shocked that 6 hours went by and the roommate actually saw this guy walking past her. Yeah, that's going to be very, 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 very detrimental and key to this trial moving forward regarding the victim and the crime that took place. Victims. Now, let's see. What else can I mention here before I go today and come back later? Let's see. So, now that the defense has sent private investigators to the scene, let's talk about again, one of the many mistakes of the Idaho Police Department that claims to be swift and prompt. Just in case you didn't get my last video or get the gist mock of it, I think that the Idaho police are not as competent as they claim to be, and I think they're actually fairly incompetent, especially now that some evidence has been leaked as far as how long this guy has been stalking, again, the circumstances and everything else, especially the 6-hour time frame that went by the day of the murders. But it's going to be interesting to see also the crime scene was supposed to have been left alone, according to experts that I've heard. It was not supposed to have been touched until the defense got a chance to send in their own team of forensics. So it's still very possible that Bryan can get away with this on a technicality or a hung jury. And again, I've said that I would, based on the circumstances so far, I would be one of those hung jury members. And I'm not going to apologize for that, because it's just, there's a lot of mistakes that were made here. And I don't think it's fair to the criminal justice system. You need a proper evidence, proper chain of custody. And I know personally, just so everybody knows, I've had dealings with Nova Southeastern University and their crappy security, their inept employees, the police department from Davie, who still is investigating, supposedly. I wonder if I call them what they'll say. And the amount of theft that goes on there, and the incompetence of the people there, especially Mr. Paul Turner. You know who you are. I'm going to deal with that legally. It's another video for another time. But I personally know about lack of security and incompetence. So, anyhow, like I was saying, the videos, the evidence, the crime scene was tampered with because they tried to clean it before the defense got a chance to look at it. That may, in itself, lead to a technical acquittal. If I was a judge, and I noticed that the crime scene evidence was tampered with, I may, legal expert, but I definitely know that judges can basically call a mistrial or just tampered with evidence. Again, the jury may see it that way as well. It's bad for the justice system, and this guy may get acquitted. Now, it's not to say that he's going to escape any stalking charges. That's definitely on the plate. So, the judge might decide to give this guy, 20 years for stalking 4 people, possibly more. And the amount of time that he stalked them, which is several months, he could impose a penalty, a harsher than normal penalty for stalking. Now, would it be unfair to the murder victims? Absolutely. But again, you have to think about the justice system. Okay? The justice system. It's got to, the ethics and the integrity of the justice system. You can have evidence that's destroyed. You can have which is a form of corruption. That's why I mentioned Nova Southeastern University. You can't have evidence that's tampered with. And again, going back to the 6-hour time frame and these several months that the suspect was stalking these individuals, more details to come. You just can't have that and have a proper, conviction. Anybody who's a legal expert, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. If I'm wrong, let the facts speak, and I will, then say, okay, I have made a mistake, but I don't think I have. More to come. This whole thing has been unfortunately tragic for the victims. Let me say, it's also sad. Myself personally dealing with these types of women that or people that Bryan may have been, triggered and abused psychologically, mainly abused and then triggered most of his life. I know what it is to deal with weight issues. I've myself have lost quite a bit of weight and gained it back a few times in my life. I know what it is to be psychologically abused by people. This is a scenario akin to say something like Mr. Deeds in the Red Dragon. Scenarios like this happen all the time. I've yet to see the innocence of character from the now deceased victims. What kind of women were they? I do not know. I do not know them personally, but knowing how women are nowadays, sadly, here in the United States and a lot of places around the world, it is, from my personal experience, correct to say that most women, unfortunately, are shallow, materialistic, and are ruthless, schemy, sneaky, and so forth. And it is what it is. Like it or hate it, like me or hate me. That's been my personal experience. I'm not trying to be a male chauvinist pig. It's just, it is what it is. And I'm sure that the majority of men out there would agree with me. And a lot of women who, mostly religious, also would agree with me. Who've seen the error of their ways. What effect did that have on Bryan? Was it a cause and effect? Most likely. The unsub was triggered. The unsub was triggered. And this is the fallout. This, again, has been Joseph Victorious, cybersecurity professional. Thank you for listening.